If I did a Dear Dumbass about every stupid thing I saw on Twitter, I wouldn't have time to eat, sleep, or even breathe. Typically, I just rant about them on Monkey in the Morning and move on with my life. But sometimes I come across something so damn dumb that it deserves its own video. Today is just such a case. The man on your screen is Sheldon Whitehouse. He's a Democrat senator from Rhode Island, and he's in the news today because he belongs to the all-white Bailey's Beach Club there in his home state. A Democrat exhibiting racist tendencies isn't exactly newsworthy. But look at that tweet. The difference between us Democrats and Republicans is that we actually hold our politicians accountable when they do wrong. Senator Whitehouse belonging to a whites-only club in Rhode Island is unacceptable in this day and age. We don't turn blind eyes to politicians' wrongdoings. Hashtag DemVoice1. Dear Dumbass, that is among the dumbest shit I've read this week, and that's not by default. I follow Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, The Squad, and many mainstream journalists. You have to try to be on the dumbest list, and damned if you didn't take it to Olympic levels here. Let's watch the video.
A little close. Okay, back in 2017, you had expressed concerns about the membership of the all-white Bailey's Beach Club, said that you hoped it would become more diverse. Now, your family's been members, your wife is one of the largest shareholders. Has there been any traction in that? Are there any minority members of the club now?
I think the people who are running the place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet.
Do you have concerns in 2021? I mean, obviously it's been 4 years. You had remarks on the floor following the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd saying, hoping to root out systemic racism in the country. Your thoughts on an elite, all-white, wealthy club, again, in this day and age? Should these clubs continue to exist?
It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them. I think we just need to work our way through the issues. Thank you.
The car's here. You have to go.
Just a matter of tradition in Rhode Island. Kind of like it's just tradition for Democrats to wear white robes and hang out in the woods at night by the light of a burning cross. But let's forget about tradition and just look at Sheldon here. He didn't just join this club. According to Go Local News, the same site that broke this story today, Sheldon has belonged to that club since before he became a senator. In fact, they report that he vowed to quit the club back in 2006 when he first ran for his Senate seat. I couldn't find anything to back up that claim, but notice the date on this article. Yep, they were reporting on him being in this club back in August of 2017, almost a full 4 years ago. Whether it was 2006 or 2017, Democrats have had a long time to hold old Sheldon accountable for this. Oddly, he's still a member today and his wife is one of the 3 largest stakeholders in the club. Sheldon used to be a stakeholder, but he gave all his shares to his wife. Do I think Sheldon is racist? I don't know. I can't read the man's mind. I do know he has no shame about belonging to an all-white club and that Democrats haven't said a fucking thing about it in the last 4 years since it was brought up by the same publication that brought it up again today. For 4 years on an almost nightly basis, the major news networks were telling us how racist Trump was. Meanwhile, old Sheldon was over there at his Honkies Only Club without a single mention of any of this from the major news players. Held accountable indeed. It was recently brought to light that Hunter Biden told his cousin that when it comes to his hookers, he doesn't want any yellow ones. And he wasn't talking about cowards. He had a different meaning of yellow there. When talking to his lawyer, he said he better not be charging him Hennessy rates while dropping N-bombs like it was his favorite pastime. The late Senator Robert Byrd was the last congressman known to have been a member of the Klan. Yes, that Klan. When he died, Joe Biden gave him a eulogy where he called Byrd a friend, mentor, and guide. He used those words.
But to me, and many people here today, like guys I see, Bill Bradley and Jim Sasser, who've long left the Senate for greener pastures, and I hope better remuneration. We used to kid about that too, but for a lot of us, he was a friend, and he was a mentor, and he was a guide.
When the Hunter Biden story broke, there was barely any mention of the story itself at all. Don Lemon and Rachel Maddow sure as fuck weren't out there replaying Joe's eulogy and telling us all how Hunter's emails show that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Once again, I don't know if Joe and Hunter are actually racist. I do know Democrats let them get away with shit they would have crucified Trump and any of his children over. And now it's getting even worse. Democrats are back up to their old habits of embracing open racism.
There are no good apples out there. White people
make my blood boil. When you say there are no good apples out there, what kind of claim are you making?
I'm talking about people have this idea that racism is something that if you're consciously racist or if you're a Klan member, and I'm sort of making the claim that racism is something that is unconscious and it is actually in everyone, and everyone uses these words systemic. They're like, I know that racism is systemic, and yet individually when you call them out, they'll be like, well, it's not me, you can't say that. And so there's a disconnect between use of the word systemic and saying that racism is everywhere. But the moment you point it out individually, there's sort of people disown their own violence and racism.
Would it be fair to say, based on your expertise, that white people are psychopathic?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's many lies that, and didn't get to that part because what I delivered was only part of a first series of talks. But the level of lying that white people do that has started since colonialism, we're just used to it. Such as every time that you steal a country, you loot, you say you've discovered something. I mean, this level of lie is actually part of history. We don't say that we killed all these people, we got rid of all the Native Americans. We say we discovered America. You don't talk about the level of death. You don't talk about the level of what actually occurred. You wipe the slate clean, you sanitize the violence, and you actually got lost along the way. You're trying to go to India, and then you say you discovered something. And this level of discovery is everywhere. You've discovered vegetarianism. You've discovered yoga. You've discovered everything is a discovery, and it's all actually stolen.
Oh, sure. This time it was against Whitey, which apparently makes it okay. But it's still racism, which just is another long tradition for Democrats. This is a growing problem in the Democratic Party, and no Democrat is out there even trying to hold people responsible for the blatant racism against white people that is festering in the party. It's a sad reality that one of the problems with political parties is the disturbing way they will forgive the sins of their own. Democrats are not above this. In fact, they're some of the worst at turning a blind eye to their own side's failings. To pretend otherwise is just asinine. If you don't see that, it's because you've turned your own blind eye to the problem, which makes you a liar and a hypocrite. Sincerely, Monkey. P.S. It's my understanding that Democrats think money is the best way to apologize. While I'm not a Republican, I'm willing to accept an apology donation from you on their behalf for the stupid shit you just said. DMs are open. All the best. That's going to wrap up this one. I know a lot of people prefer the shorter video style format, but if you'd like some more Monkey in your life, I do a mostly nightly show called Monkey in the Morning, where I cover a lot more topics than I can in a video. Follow me on Twitter so you know when I go live. I hope to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. I'm the Ranting Monkey, and I'll see you next time. The difference between us Democrats and Republicans is that we actually hold our politicians accountable when they do wrong. Your life makes me sad. Now, the other one that I wanted to talk about is that the thing that you tweeted out not long ago on the hashtag.
Oh, yeah, that one.
What we're about to watch, guys, is ridiculously racist. This is the kind of shit these people are about to say on your screen should get them blasted from polite society.
You would think.
It won't, but it should. Sound check.
There are no good apples.
Good. A little low, but not bad.
Okay.
This is Mark Lamont Hill. From what I could tell, from all I've seen of him, he does not like white people.
Oh, no, he's another racist shithead.
There, white people make my blood boil. When you say there are no good apples out there, what kind of claim are you making?
I'm talking about people have this idea that racism is something that if you're consciously racist or if you're a Klan member, and I'm sort of making the claim that racism is something that is unconscious and it is actually in everyone, and everyone uses these words systemic. They're like, I know that racism is systemic, and yet individually when you call them out, they'll be like, well, it's not me, you can't say that.
Now, I need to be clear here because he asked her a very specific question. Why do you say there's no good white people? Which is what she said. She said no good apples when it comes to white people, but that's saying there's no good white people.
Yeah.
As she gave her description, she says everybody's racist. So wouldn't that mean there's no good people?
Yeah, well, kind of a broad sweeping generalization, but you know.
What she really means to say here as well is that all white people are racist.
Yeah.
Because if you're answering the question about no good white people, then your answer should be specific to the honkies.
Yeah.
And it was. She just couched her language here. By the way, if you see the little chyron at the bottom, she's explaining a speech she gave at Yale. Do you think there was a bunch of people outside protesting the racist shit she was saying?
No, not at all.
Do you think the Yale deans and such are going to get any pushback on the fact they had this racist up there talking?
If they get any, they'll ignore it because they'll be like, well, obviously you're a white supremacist.